Good morning, Spiritual Life Center. I have a crazy reverb on my voice. We welcome you, and we want you to know that your soul is welcome here, and you are in the right place.
You're in the right place at the right time, just where you were meant to be.
Right.
Whether you're live streaming or here with us in person. Let's sing about it.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. In the right place. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Please join me in turning around and saying good morning to those that are live streaming. You're in the right place at the right time. Happy Mother's Day.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. Oh, my soul is welcome. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome.
I'm getting the message.
I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here.
Your soul,
My soul is welcome here.
my soul,
is welcome. Everybody's
you
welcome.
know that
My
your soul, so
is
welcome here.
Everybody's welcome. My soul is welcome here.
My soul, your soul,
is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Wow, so much estrogen in the building. And we bless those of you who got drug here today. We bless you.
They came all willingly.
Yes. And it is good to be drug here.
Okay.
Drugged. Dragged.
Drag,
No,
drugs.
It's just good. It's good to have you all.
Yes. However way you got here is good.
And we just want to welcome you. Sometimes in the sassy way that we do, right? But
Absolutely.
it's always warm and it's always loving. And in the beautiful spirit of this spiritual community, Spiritual Life Center. Because we know you are never here by accident. You are here by divine appointment. And we especially want to welcome you if you're here for the first time. And we want to welcome those whether you're live streaming or whether you are planted in a chair or you're out in the courtyard or in the annex. Anywhere that you're connected is a divine connection. And the one connection we'd love you to suspend is the cellular connection. So if you could silence those electronic devices, anything that beeps or buzzes, we would appreciate it.
And with that clearing in our consciousness so that we can have a direct connection with this presence, let us commune with this presence for a moment. And as we breathe in and breathe out, we are totally here now in this moment, in this instant. And we tap into the qualities of this divine of peace and sharing and loving and enjoying each other and realizing that there's something within all of us that is the same, that is unchangeable. It is known by many names. You may call it the Atman, the Buddhic field, the Christ within, the divine. But it's closer than our neck vein, closer than our breathing, and is never hurt, harmed, or endangered in any way. And we make this presence the activity of our awareness, our consciousness, so that we become the vehicles of all these qualities and bring them forth in our world. So on this particular day, this Mother's Day, we connect with the divine and allow ourselves to be the walking embodiment of all that's good and perfect. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
And we want to let you know of something very special that's going to happen at the end of the service as we're singing the peace song. We have Joe Tierney here to take a group photo for the cover of the new book that Suzanne Joy Livingston is going to get ready to publish. So if you are photo averse, we will invite you after the offertory to exit through that door. If you would like to be in the photo, stay, because we'll take that as everyone raises their hand. So we wanted you to know about that. We want to thank Shirley Brown for her beautiful contribution of a floral this morning in honor of Mother's Day. Thank you. And none other than Reverend James Trapp is going to be featured for our Wednesday WOW program.
Yes, for the rest of the story.
Yeah. And the rest of the, so it's the Talk the Walk series with James, and redemption, the rest of the story. So sounds very compelling. So
Yes.
come for a community dinner at 6 and James' redemption story at 7.
And if you've been looking for an easy and relaxed time together with your SLC friends, just remember the fun of do you remember the fun of your cabaret days? There are some people that do. If you have some good jokes that you'd like to bring, well, bring them with you for the new potluck gathering that's going to take place at Spiritual Life Center on the third Friday of the month. And we're going to begin on Friday, May the 18th at 6 to 8:30 p.m. with Joke Night. So look for a new theme each month. And for more information, Sally Sion is the one that's championing that. She was here this morning. I don't know if she's at the second service, but if you see her around, you want to get more details about that, just to kind of let your hair down or whatever. Well, I don't have any, but that's okay. Get let loose and have a good time. You check with Sally. She'll give you more information about it.
And I just want to thank some people here today. So we have a group of people that work on community service, and they do projects that we don't always hear about. So I want to thank Pat Sandlin this morning for her role in bringing a group of women. She took a small but mighty group of women to the Habitat Women's Build on May 5th in celebration of her birthday. So thank you, Pat, for all that you do. And Chris Enright, you're here for the Habitat Unity Build. That's a great program. And another great program is coming to us by the vehicle of some congregants here who speak so highly of Rev. Dr. Stu Bittman. He is the minister and the spiritual leader at Unity of Tahoe at the lake. And we hear he's fabulous. We're excited to bring him here. So he's going to talk about students who attain oneness may move on to two-ness. So I think that's going to be a really interesting talk. So come for that, and that's on May 27th. He'll do a workshop in the afternoon from 1 to 3:30 on living from the heart. So you can register for that now.
Well, just to let you know that we're having our Mystic Cafe, all that jazz. That's the good news. The not so good news, or the other news, is that it's actually sold out, but there's still an opportunity. Still an opportunity. You can enter a raffle for tickets, and you can purchase raffle tickets for single tickets or a pair of tickets, and the drawing's going to take place after the second service next Sunday. And to keep you motivated to show up for the Mystic Cafe, I think we have a song coming on from RJ.
They'll fill up your senses at a mystic reception. Come, let them love you at the Mystic Cafe. Carol Manson and Ann Roach, they will sing and entertain you. Come, let them love you. Get raffle tickets today. Raffle ticket on my shoulder makes me happy.
Thank you. I don't think you get any announcements anywhere else quite like that. All right.
I was rendered speechless. So we have another guest coming in June, and her name is Esther Nicholson, and she was with us once before when we were at Sac City College, and she is a force of nature. Now that woman is going to come talk about the healing code of forgiveness at our Sunday service, and she's also going to offer a workshop in the afternoon. She's powerful, she's present, and she's a wonderful teacher. So don't miss that one.
Yes, and a wonderful singer. She's going to do all of that.
She is.
Yes. And want to let you all know about two very important groups of people here, our ambassadors and prayer chaplains. If they're present, to please stand. And just to remind you that the ambassadors wear the rainbow ribbons and around their necks in order to let you know about things that are happening here at Spiritual Life Center, how to get connected with the activities and programs, and to answer questions that you may have about our community. And the chaplains are doing the very important work of holding that prayer consciousness and will hold you in confidential prayer no matter what we're going through in our life. There might be some joys, there might be some challenges, and they're wearing the white stoles, and they're available to pray with you after the service or in the courtyard as well.
And if you are here today with us for the first time, we're going to ask you to raise your hand. We won't make you dance. We will not make you sing, but we're going to give you something. So we want to give you a welcome card, and we'd love for you to fill that out. And that's a great way to get connected here. So we're going to pass that out along with a chalet. And
So if you're here for the very first time, just kind of put your hand up real high.
Keep it up.
And
Don't be shy.
And we're offering you, like I said, a chalet. And we ask you to wear that to get that special Spiritual Life Center greeting. And the chalet has a tag on it that says, "We believe we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and there are many paths to the one God." And we thank you for joining us on your unique path today. And we have an opportunity now to greet those who are here for the first time, greet one another, and tell each other, "You look marvelous. Glad you are here."
To our group song. And I don't think there's anyone in
Hello,
here
everybody.
that doesn't know this song.
So, hi. So, Louise said we're not going to make you sing, but we definitely do invite you to sing. And I think I'm just going to start the song. I wanted to tell you a little story about this song, but I don't want you to sit down. This song, I always thought for years, and I bet you did, that this song was written for, like, Mary, Mother of Jesus. But a long time ago, a young man named Paul wrote this song for his mother, Mary, who he lost at 14 years old.
let it be. And when the night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow, let it be. I wake up to the sound of music. Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom. Let it be. 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 There will be an answer. Let it be. Oh, let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. There will be an answer. Let it be. 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 Whisper words of wisdom. Let it be.
Please be seated.
As powerful today as it was when it was first written. Gosh, really touches the DNA of our soul. How many have taken the Q process since you've been here? Quite a few, maybe about a little less than half. We're making that as part of our curriculum here at Spiritual Life Center. And a lot of it came out of the work of Debbie Ford, who made her transition 2 or 3 years ago. And she had written a book entitled The Shadow Effect, Illuminating the Hidden Power of Your True Self. And I think one of the things she was letting us know that only when we're fully conscious of the wholeness of our being, both the shadow parts of us and the unlimited potential within us, can we step into our greatest self. And so our goal is to step into our greatest self. So as a community, we've been engaged in our process to move to the next stage of our evolution, which includes being aware of those things that don't serve us as well as our infinite possibilities. So we've been doing some pretty deep work on the individual level and collectively, and we had the Geneogram exercise a couple of weeks ago. Was that a couple of weeks ago? Seemed like it was yesterday. Time goes by so quickly. And as a result, we came up with our community cue card to realize that we must know the beliefs that limit us as well as what our unlimited potential is. So what we're going to do today as part of our process is to read our cue card together. Now, it may feel a little awkward at first, but we've been doing it as a staff, we've been doing it as a board, but eventually you'll find comfort in having the awareness of all the things that we represent. And it's kind of like trying it on like a coat. I don't know if you ever go to the store, I'm going to try this coat on and see if it fits. So we're going to try it on. And so our goal is to bring to full awareness so we can have compassion for ourselves when we're in our shadow, so we're not blaming or shaming or regretting anything, and then move on to celebrating what we've come here to be, which is our highest and best self. So we're going to read the cue card together, followed by our vision statement. And I ask you, are you game to join in with me on this? Yes. All righty, let's go for it. So it should be over. Yes, I see it. So we're going to start out with this because this is when we want to have compassion when we're not our highest and best self. Please have compassion for us when we are being not enough, distrusting, grieving, blaming, powerless, fearful. Now we want to go on to what we've come here to be. Because this is who we have come here to be. Inspired, in integrity, joy-filled, compassionate, unstoppable, generous, transformational. That's who we're come here to be. We're come here to be that. And it's from this consciousness then that we step into our vision statement that we can recite together. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions, weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom. we cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet.
And in preparation for meditation, I invite you to take a nice deep breath and settle into your chair. May all people know God. May all people be in peace. Please join me in singing our meditation chant.
May all beings know love. May all beings know peace. May all beings know love. May all beings know peace. No more pain. No more pain. May all beings know love. May all beings know peace. May all beings know love. May all beings know peace. No more pain. No more pain. May all beings know love. May all beings know
Taking in those beautiful words. Join me now in settling in for this time together. Allowing the chair to support you. Dropping our shoulders and noticing our breath. The natural flow takes us into the heart. And if it serves you, close your eyes and just follow these words as they soak in. We're in an open-hearted space, a tranquil place. We can have a focus on family, friends, and relations that have brought to us that which is nurturing. On this day, we honor those who gave birth this year to their first child. We celebrate with you. We hold tender those who lost a child this year. We mourn with you. We marvel at those who mother and those who are in the trenches with little ones, who every day wear that badge of the assorted food stain. We appreciate you. And for those that might have experienced loss this year, we mourn with you. We mourn with those who walk that hard path of infertility. We sit with you. Foster moms, mentor moms, and spiritual moms, you fill in those spaces with your love. For those of you with close relationships with your children, we celebrate with you. And those who have disappointment or any heartache or any distance, we are with you. To those who will have empty nests in the upcoming year, we grieve and simultaneously celebrate with you. Those who may be pregnant with new life, we anticipate with you. This Mother's Day, we are all together. And we know mothering is not for the faint of heart. We have real warriors in our midst. And we commend mothering for the ways it reflects the image of the divine. And that can come in the male form or the female form, for we all have that divine nurturing energy. We bless this moment together with gratitude for the soft and steady ways of any mothering that we have taken in. And we have deep compassion for any who suffer by that same experience. We are grateful for the many ways that nurturing presents. We all, by birth, have positive energies in this world. And so we reflect for a moment at the marvel that Spirit places in all of our paths, whether they are beings human, non-human, canine, feline, feathered, vertebrate, or non, that called you to nurture, that brought out your selflessness beyond what you ever thought possible. And now, in a moment of silence, feel your own nurturing in the very being of your heart. Moved to a stillness and depth of peace that we are all born by Divine Mother.
I see her, she sees me. I know her somehow. I'm watching, she moves me. She's music now. She's beauty and wisdom, salvation and peace, complete and eternal. She's mystic release, with grace, with peace, with harmony. She dances son. She travels great lengths to heal the wounded wanderers who sleep while they're away. She stirs the restless souls alive with eloquence and grace. She rides the sun. She rides the stars. She rides the moon. She rides my heart. She's calling to everyone, everywhere. I feel her in the quiet of my mind. She's there. She wants us to wake up and take her hand. She rides the sun. She rides the stars. She rides the moon. She rides my heart. She's calling. She's calling my heart. She's calling. She's calling. She's calling.
I think that says it all. As I like to say from time to time, where do you go from up? I think if we listen to music and the musicality from Ann and others, it helps us remember our oneness with something greater than ourselves. Wanted to acknowledge this morning any of the mothers this morning or any of the men who have served that role. If you could just stand, we want to just acknowledge you, appreciate you, thank you for doing one of the most important jobs that anyone could possibly do on the planet. Thank you. And I spoke to someone who's a mother-to-be soon, so once again. You know, there's an ancient saying that says when one is full of fear or doubt, that 1,000 books of scripture or statements will never be enough. But when we realize the presence of God and we realize our oneness with this presence, that's always more than enough. And I think to help us realize our oneness with this presence, it's important to have conversations and listen to messages from the divine. You know, today is Mother's Day. And I know for many it's a very challenging day. because many have had painful experiences from their earthly mothers. I've had my own experiences with my mother, and it served as a catalyst for me to get involved in spiritual work. And I'll share a little bit more about that this morning. You know, Esther Nicholson, who's going to be here next month, talking about forgiveness, said it took her 20 years to forgive her mom. When I said that in the first service, there was a little baby in there that screamed out at that moment. And I think he was saying something to the effect, you know, it doesn't have to take that long. There's something that you can go to that can restore the place where you've never been hurt, harmed, or endangered in any way. Anyways, I was thinking about Mother's Day, and then, of course, hearing that song of John Lennon, Mother Mary. It reminded me of a story of a man who had made his transition and moved on to the other side of the veil. And as these stories go, he went up to heaven. And of course, we know in our teaching that heaven is not a place, but simply a state of awareness. But this is the story. And of course, he went to the pearly gates, and as always, St. Peter was there. It seemed like he was blocking everybody else from ever being at the pearly gates. It's always St. Peter. And so St. Peter was checking his list, and he said, okay, you made it. We've been waiting for you. And the guy that was coming up said, well, you know, I don't know. I'm a little bit concerned about something, and I don't know if I want to enter in. And of course, this had Peter taken aback. He said, what are you talking about? Everybody wants to come to this place. You know, you got billowing clouds, you get your own harp. You get everything that you need. And the guy said, well, I know, but I'm concerned about something. And I want to see Mother Mary. And St. Peter said, well, this is a very unusual request because not too many people really ask to see Mother Mary. They just want to come on in. And he said, no, but I've seen some things, and I got to ask her a couple of questions. So he sends up the word, is Jesus' mother up there? And Mary comes out to see the young man. And she comes down to the entrance of the place, and the man says to her, listen, I've got to know something you got to tell me. Every picture I've ever seen of you there seems to be a degree of sadness in your face. And I want to come into this place and all, but your sadness is bugging me. And I don't know whether I'm imagining something or was this real sadness there. And according to the story, Mary put her head down and said, well, you're right. There's been some sadness in my soul, and apparently you caught it. And he asked her, well, what's the sadness all about? And Mother Mary said, I wanted a girl. I know, a little corny joke. I like these corny jokes. But don't hold it against me. But it allows us to segue into this point here. That unlike Mother Mary in that particular story, this presence that we call God, this divine presence, is always embracing us regardless of what we're going through. There's always a divine presence that knows who and what we really are. And this divine mother presence is always accepting of its own creations of which we're all a part. And of course, this quality is not limited to gender. It's something that's within all of us. You know, the Taoists talk about the yin and the yang, and the yin being that the feminine aspect of ourselves as opposed to the masculine aspect, and they all must work in balance. So it comes out of every person. You know, I ran across a story about a man named Cody. And he lived in a very small Texas town that didn't have a lot of racial harmony. There was a lot of divisions between the blacks and the whites in the community. And he had a neighbor that he knew since childhood. His neighbor was named Milton West. And he knew Milton West, and he called him Mr. Chip. And Mr. Chip had retired from a chemical company, but he had always been there for him regardless of the fact that they come from different sides of the tracks. And Cody was saying that Mr. Chip had been with him and for him since he was 2 years old. And Cody said he had grown up without a father and was always difficult for him. But somehow the universe would have it that he was surrounded by great people, and Mr. Chip was one of those people. And he said that Mr. Chip constantly taught him the value of education, how to take care of his yard. He taught him how to see people for who they really are rather than what they look like. And he taught him how to treat his mother like a saint and many other lessons in life. And he says Mr. Chip's contributions to him becoming a good son and a good man, a good father, were huge for him. And Cody said that he's forever grateful for having this man in his life. And then as Cody got married, he had a little boy named Bob. And Mr. Chip and his wife, Shirley, saw Bob and would love him and babysit him. And sometimes they would bring him by to see Shirley and Mr. Chip. And the last time they were over, Mr. Chip said, he wants to be called Pop. And he said that's going to be his grandson. Cody's son was going to be his grandson. And he said, we need to come up with a name for my wife. So when you talk to him, you can tell him who he's going to see. So they decided that his wife's name was going to be Lolly. And so he would just say to his son, we're going to go see Lolly Pop. And that's what they tell young Bob every time he would go see them. But I think the thing is that Cody and his wife were grateful that Lolly and Pop would be part of his son's life. And Cody said that if he learns some of the things that he learned from Mr. Chip, that he's going to be a great son himself, a great man and a great father. But the point is that he really brought out qualities within him, the yin within him, and demonstrated how it can be applied in anyone's life. We call it the Mother, Father, God presence. And I think if we have conversations with the divine presence, there's a message for all of us. That we're here to be the instruments. We're here to be the channels. We're here to be the vehicles of peace and harmony so that we can create a world that works for everyone. And there has to be an integration of these two energies of God that we all have. It's the masculine aspect of God, the intellect, the will, the power, and the feminine aspect of God energy, the intuition, the compassion, the love, and the givingness of the heart. There must be an integration of all of these two energies in order for humanity to birth the next phase of its evolution. I think there's a way that we can have an entirely new way of being in the world and on the planet and create a world that indeed works for all. We're in an era in which this integration of these two energies is so critical. As we look at all the changes that the planet is going through, what our world is going through today, that all the seeming upheavals, the sense of separation, the us versus them, they come about partly because there's not been a balance between the masculine-based spirituality based upon power that leads to abuse and control over others. There's not been a balance with the divine feminine that's based upon spirituality, the attributes of sharing, natural healing, a peace-filled living, and honoring of all life. But we have that within us. Now it's time for us to express it in a way that we can begin to transform our life and our world. It's natural within us. I recall a story about a woman who was on a plane, and she was getting ready to go up to use the restroom, and she left her bag of cookies in the seat when she left. And when she came back, she saw that the man that was sitting next to her had her bag of cookies. And she was a little disturbed by this. And he reached in the bag and ate one. And then, she reached in the bag and she ate one. And he reached in the bag, well, here, have another of her cookies. So she's getting all distressed about this thing that's going on, on the plane. And then all of a sudden she realized she was in the wrong seat. And so she said to the gentleman, said, I don't understand, you're hitting, I'm reaching in the bag and I'm grabbing out your cookies and you didn't say anything. And the guy said, well, when in doubt, share. When in doubt, share. And he was bringing something within him that I think will make a difference in our world, that we're here to share what we have, that everything belongs to the presence of God. And that's a quality that we can bring out on this Mother's Day. Charles Fillmore and Murdo Fillmore were the co-founders of Unity when they wrote their articles of faith, their purpose statement. They said these words. He said that I believe that the Holy Mother, the divine feminine, is now being restored to her righteousness in the world. And they shall reign equal with the divine masculine in the heavens and the earth. I think how better way to remind ourselves of this truth than celebrating the spirit of the mother that's in all of us. I did some research on the history and the origins of Mother's Day. And although it became official in 1914 as a holiday in the United States, there was a backdrop for this that started actually in 1870. When Mother's Day began, it came out of the heartbreak of all the mothers who had lost their sons and husbands in the Civil War. And they didn't want to allow for that experience to be repeated by others who were controlling what was happening in the world. And it was through their heartbreak that they wanted to sow the seeds of compassion and sow the seeds of love. And so they trained their sons for compassion and love and patience, so they would not be untrained and then go out and murder other sons in other nations and other nationalities. And so these mothers, as well as some of the fathers, were speaking from a state of being from their true, complete selves as expressions of God. And out of the broken hearts that they had, they birthed a consciousness of compassion that they wanted to see in their world. Nowadays, Mother's Day has been sanitized by Hallmark. It's one of the busiest days of the year for phone calls. But real Mother's Day is a call for each of us to open our hearts, to be the presence of God, to be the presence of compassion. As the Dalai Lama said, that compassion, that people will be the revolutionaries of our day. I think there's a great message from the Divine Mother when we have that conversation. We might not want to speak this out loud and walking down the street, but in your own mind. But I think we're hearing that we're here to reach out and love and leave the outcome to God no matter what another is going through. I think natural mothers or mothers on the planet have that unconditional love without agenda. I think I shared before, I believe that there's a part of us that whenever we see a person not fulfilling the highest and best of who they are, the true part of us is holding a vision of possibility. The true part of us is holding a vision of truth, and we leave the rest to this presence. So in life, sometimes a student or a child may stumble and fall and make mistakes over and over again. But there's something about the Mother God presence within us that sees their potential no matter what the appearances are. I think I shared years ago, I used to practice law, and I represented some juveniles who were getting in trouble, and more than often than not, the mothers would come and share to them what they're accused of, what they're charged with, and inevitably they would say, that's not my child. I say, wait a minute, is this his name? He said, yeah, that's his picture. I said, yeah. Oh, that's your child, all right. But what they were saying, I don't care what people say about him or her. I don't care what others or the newspapers may write about them, what they're charged with. I know my child, and that's not my child. That's not the true self. Because they've seen something, they know something. And they reach out in love anyway, and heartbreak over and over again, and know there's something there that is always redeemable. And I think that experience provides a lesson for us to walk through life without agenda and hold the vision of love regardless of what we're going through. And I think this is the message from the Divine Mother in all of us. Because nothing can ever happen that we can do or not do that can stop the divine from loving us, supporting us, believing in us, and being there for us. You know, like the time that there were some children that forgot to shop for their mother on Mother's Day. And they created a homemade card. And the homemade card said, you know, we know you deserve the best, but we're glad that you kept us anyway. She never threw that card out. It was very endearing to her. You know, as I noted, sometimes Mother's Day is challenging for folks. They hear these things and they say, you know, that's not my experience. My mother was not like that. You're not describing her at all. As a matter of fact, if she were here today, she may need to hear some of these things. We may be saying to ourselves, you know, I was adopted or I was abandoned. My mother passed before I got to know her. None of this applies to me and my life. But in many respects, it does. Because what we see in the human level, the human motherhood, is merely a representation of a dynamic energy that is everywhere present all the time. And as we begin to pray aright, saying, Mother, Father, God, that's everywhere, let me be an instrument of these qualities. And we're hearing back that you are my beloved in which you are well pleased. Because within you are miracles, magnificence. Within you is beauty. And as we open up ourselves to that, we accept the truth of who we are. And I think our charge is to accept these qualities of the Divine Mother in our own life. You know, like I said, when I was about 7 years old, my mother disappeared from my life. And I can imagine, you know, as you can imagine, that it has an impact on how one would see themselves, how I saw myself. You know, really kind of elevated my own shadow side in life. All the things that, you know, I kind of went off course because of my own self-concept. And so for 25 years, there was a void within my life because of the way that I interpret that event, my relationship. It was a primary event that made a big difference, that was a turnaround for how my life projected. Yet, in the midst of all that challenge, through all those years, I happened to have the ability to look at it differently. You know, when I was going through my personal rehabilitation, I was in a rehab center, and they had us write letters to those that we needed to forgive, to those that we needed to reconcile with. And of course, the biggest person in my life was my own mother. And as I was writing this letter, I began to remember an incident that made a big difference on how I perceived her and perceived my own experience. And I've shared this before, but it's kind of my, you know, signature Mother's Day story. Some of you know it, some of you may have not heard it before, but it means a lot to me because it was a turning point in my life. And I was around, I don't know how old I was at the time, but my mother had been gone had not been gone at the time. She was still there with me. And it was a summertime, and I was bored in the backyard, you know, getting into mischievous things, as children do when they don't have anything constructive to do. And there was a beehive in the backyard. And being invincible, I got a stick, and I went over there and I hit the beehive. And a bunch of bees started flying at me. I ran, I got away. I said, yeah, I can dodge these bees. Who do they think they are? Now, of course, I wasn't very enlightened because I went back again and with the stick and I hit it for the second time. And they came out, started flying at me again, and I ducked and dodged and got away. And then Apparently, the bees decided to have a meeting. Because when I went back the third time, as soon as I raised my arm, those bees came flying out. And I'm going to tell you, the Blue Angels had nothing on them. They were in formation, they were disciplined, and they came flying at me with full force and effect. And the next thing I know, I was getting stung over my eye. I had a big knot over my eye, back of my neck. I was looking at one of those creatures, man, from the Star Wars, bar scene where they had all these different creatures. I could have fit right on in there. And what I remembered as I was writing this letter was that I was with my mother. She was holding me in her arms. And she was caressing all the knots on my head and on my neck and my lip, and just extending tremendous love toward me in my time of distress. And that particular incident changed my whole perspective of how I saw her. It seemed to overwhelm all the negative impressions that I had, all the hurt that I experienced, all those 25 years that I had not seen her in my life, that I saw her as abandoning me. I think her act was one out of divine love, the divine idea of love. And despite all the unpleasant feelings that I had, the negative experiences that I had created, the beliefs that I had as a result of seeing myself abandoned, whenever I thought of that scene, all those seeming negative experiences disappeared. I think there's a message from the divine within us. And as we hear that message, that we realize that we're never alone. Though we may feel it at times, emotionally, there's something that's always there. It may come in the form of mothers. It may come in the form of guardian angels. It may come in the form of teachers. It may come in the form of people around us. There's a dynamic, universal energy we call God that is there in our life. So my friends, this is Mother's Day. And as we think about the divine that's within all of us, the divine mother in all of us, we bless that part of us because that's the truth of who and what we are. It can never leave us. It can never forsake us. And it's always for us. So happy Mother's Day as we go forth with this awareness. Peace and blessings to you. And as we prepare for our gifts and love offerings, to symbolically raise your awareness of being one with the one with the divine, and understand the principles that are unalterable, that when we get in tune with it, they work for us. And as we give, we know that whatever we give out comes back to us in so many different ways. And so if you're given by mail, given by EFT, just know it's supporting this community, supporting those who are along their way for their own transformations. But most importantly, it is an expression of love that is coming from within us. So with that, let's say our offertory blessing today. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
There is a loving place, tender and full of grace. Sweet sister, hear our prayer. Oh, mother, take us there. There is a loving place where peace shines on every face. This is
sister, hear our prayer. Oh, Mother, take us there. Take us home. Please melt these hearts of stone. Guide us with constant care. Follow our hearts may roam. Help every soul to fly. Dance with the angels soaring on high. Help every heart to heal. Help every fear to die. Let your love light away. Cast every doubt away. Sweet sister, hear our prayer. Oh, Mother, take us there. 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 Oh, Mother, hear our prayers. Take us there. Oh, Mother, take us there. Oh, Mother, take us Oh, Mother, take us there. Oh, Mother, take us there. Oh, Mother, take us there. Oh, Mother, take us Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, and thank you for the wonderful song. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your gifts and offerings, knowing you're going to bless the givers and receivers as we go forth, expressing the divine mother within each and every one of us. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. We sing our peace song, and remember, stay standing. We're going to take our picture. hold that pose.